Avalon Tours is pleased to welcome you to France and to give you a taste of the experience you'll have on one of our personally guided tours. Our tours are designed for people interested in wine, whether you be a connoisseur, a professional, an avid enthusiast, or simply enjoy a good vintage. On your personally customized tour of France, you'll be experiencing the many varied chateaux, from prestigious first growths to the superb smaller producers that we have discovered in our travels. You will be introduced to the makers of the world's greatest wines as personal friends of Peter and Holly Smith, the owners of Avalon Tours. With our small group size, you will be able to put your questions directly to the winemakers and chateau owners and engage in frank and open discussions with the people who really matter. You will see how ready they are to talk about what they do when you visit as a guest of someone they really trust. You can go to any region in France, from the great growths of Bordeaux and Burgundy to the Rhône, Loire, or even the handmade herb wines of Provence. You can request your favorite chateau, or you can rely on our experience to write the ultimate wine lover's itinerary for you. With Avalon Tours, you can visit France at any time of year, and each season brings its own fascinating episode in the life of the wine. After the hard, cold winter, the dormant vines are awakened by the warmth of the spring sunshine. It's an exciting time to watch a vine 60, 80, or even 100 years old, pushing forth new life at the start of the growing season. The weather is usually warm and sunny, the winemakers have plenty of time to talk, and the tourists have not yet arrived. As the months pass, the buds form, and anticipation builds in the vineyards towards the first of the great festivals of the year, the Fête des Fleurs, which celebrates the flowering of the vines with the promise of a new harvest many months ahead. We are invited by the Brotherhood of Winemakers to bring our guests to participate in these sacred events, which are also an occasion of great celebration. This is a taste of the ritual that new members have to go through in their induction into the Brotherhood of Chablis. The cups are filled to the brim with Chablis wine, which they must drink without taking a breath. These dinners are by invitation only and last well into the small hours of the morning. Food and wine are fundamental to the French lifestyle and culture, and with Avalon Tours you'll experience the very best of both. Some of our good friends happen to be some of the best chefs in France, and whether you're eating in one of their fine Michelin-starred restaurants or having a simple picnic by the side of the river, you can be assured of the very best of quality at all times. Though we specialize in wine, we do not exclude the myriad other attractions of France, such as the historic castles and churches, charming villages, and beautiful countryside and rivers. We arrange many side trips and activities, such as golf, fishing, ballooning, horse riding, hunting, photography, and cooking schools. If you wish to include anything else, if it's done in France, we will make it available for you. For those interested in stronger drink, we take you to Cognac or Armagnac. We visit not only the ancient and noble houses of the great names of Cognac, but are also privileged to be invited into the homes of the very best of the makers of the world's most elite spirits, the family farms whose tiny production can fetch several $100s a bottle. For an aficionado of Cognac, this is a visit to remember for a lifetime, as we taste cognacs over 100 years old, and view the last of the pre-phylloxera stock from 1870 lying quietly in the storeroom that is known in Cognac as Paradis. paradise. During the summer months, the grapes build their strength, pulling their nourishment from deep in the sparse soils and slowly swelling into the bunches which will be harvested in the fall. Anticipation builds again before the harvest, and this is the time when we are again invited to celebrate the most important festival of the year, the Fête of the Vendage, when the grapes are nearing maturity. This marks the official start of the harvest, with the blessing of the vines and the proclamation of the vintage from the rooftops.
La joie de vivre suivant leur idéal. 7 millions. Alléluia. 7 millions. Alléluia. 7 millions. Alléluia.
The real highlight of the celebration is the street party that brings out the whole village.
Bah, regardez, il est tout près. Vous attendez. Bonne soirée.
Merci. Harvest time itself is of course hectic, but we still find time to get together with the growers and get a close-up look at the work of these specialists during the hard labor of the harvest. The grapes are carefully selected, picked by teams of harvesters, sometimes hundreds in number, and then sorted to ensure only the very best goes into the wine. Our close friendships allow us to visit with top winemakers at times when the chateaux are normally closed to the public, such as Remy Adange of Domaine de Chevalier. Here Remy explains to our guests how the painstaking process of hand selection is made for the superb white wines of Domaine de Chevalier, some of the very best whites of Bordeaux.
What we ask to the pickers, okay? They have chosen this very nice golden grape, not too much mature, but just mature, okay?
We get the closest view possible of the work of the harvest, from picking and selection through the de-stemming and precisely gentle crushing of the grapes, and on to the process of vinification itself. The most interesting time to visit is perhaps just after the harvest in late October. From the time the grapes arrive from the crusher and pump into the vats, through the fermentation process they are carefully monitored and cared for with the love of a new child. The various techniques of maceration on the skins, pumping over, batonnage of white wines and lees contact will all be mysteries no more, as you get the chance to ask as many questions as you like of the world's masters. Even winemakers from other countries tour with us to compare techniques and share know-how, such as this group from Central California. It's not hard to become infected with the enthusiasm of the winemaker when he's working with the fruits of a long year's work, and the passion of some of our friends can get quite intense.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
It's good.
Wow, fruit.
Huh? This means that the flavors will be extracted very quickly, but the most important is that if they extract very quickly, it means that they are very ripe.
This can be a hectic time of year for a visitor also, with so much to see. However, we're always able to unwind in the sumptuous accommodations that we use. In the Médoc, we stay in Chateau Bechevel, whose beautifully manicured gardens have earned it the nickname of the Versailles of the Médoc. The rooms at Bechevel are no less splendid, and of course have all private facilities, as do all our hotels. With a choice of 3 palatial lounges to relax in, you can be excused for slipping back into history and thinking you're one of the ancient French aristocracy. With larger groups, we sometimes choose to dine in the grand dining room, but normally we prefer the intimacy of one of the 2 smaller rooms for our private dinners. Other accommodation on your tour may be the private home of a count and countess, where we enjoy refined evenings around the fire, often with a local winemaker as our guest for dinner. If you wake early here, you may even see wild deer grazing on the chateau's lawns. In other parts, we'll stay in hotels which are historic buildings, perhaps right on the ramparts of the medieval village of Saint-Emilion, or an 11th century castle in the Dordogne. All our lodgings have something that makes them special, and they all have either their own great chefs or an excellent restaurant or two close at hand. After the obvious hard work of the harvest and vinification, the long work of developing the wine begins. The French call this élevage, meaning raising, just as you would a child. The wine is constantly monitored, tasted, and analyzed, particularly during the months of winter, to be sure that only the very best is kept for what will be the first or great wine. The wine is racked periodically, every 3 months in Bordeaux, usually far less in Burgundy, and sometimes not at all, depending on the style of the winemaker and the grapes. Most wines are also fined at some point in their development, to sediment out the fine solids and leave the wine sparkling clear. It's not often these days that you'll see the traditional fresh egg whites in use here at Chateau Palmer in Margaux. Most winemakers now opt for synthetic products, which are cheaper and less labor-intensive. But for most of the top growths, both the efficacy and the sense of tradition are important ingredients in the commitment to fine quality. We get a close-up view of all this work, and with only a few people in the group, we are able to discuss the merits and character of the wine with the person who made it on a one-to-one basis. We taste at each stage of its life, from the barrel to the bottle and beyond to the older vintages. The winemaker tastes each barrel at least once a week, and as you walk through the cellars with him, he'll explain what he looks for and how he can tell by this constant monitoring by his taste buds how the wines will develop, which he'll keep and which he'll reject, and just when he'll decide to take them out of the barrel and into the bottle. Avalon Tours invites you to join Peter and Holly Smith on a great adventure to discover the pleasures of wine and the French way of life. Come join us on one of our trips to France or on one of our other worldwide destinations.